Okay, it's July 8th, 3:30 p.m. I call the Kent County Administrative Charging Committee meeting to order. Remember, we follow Robert's Rules of Order, and we adhere to the Maryland Open Meetings Act. Any discussion about personnel matters will be in a closed session. Everybody get a copy of the minutes? Get a chance to review them?
Yes.
Could get a motion to accept them?
So moved.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, minutes passed. Old business. ACC rules and procedures updated drafts. Any headway on that? I know we've been busy with other things.
A week or two. I apologize.
No, that's right. As we, probably the next time we discuss those, we can go over them. What's your thoughts on, everybody's thought on getting the sheriff and the police chiefs involved in looking at them?
With our own procedures? I
Not
don't think
necessary.
No, I don't think it's necessary.
Okay, just throwing it out there. Want any input from them? No?
I think we could certainly provide them to them.
Afterwards? Yeah. Okay.
Obviously, if they have comments.
It was a question that someone wanted me to ask, so I'm asking. He also threw a comment here about standardize the flow of files and documents and the results with the ACC. I think it kind of came up with this latest one. The numbers came up a little different on the reports in the files that were sent to us.
You mean they started using numbers to identify
Yes,
which to look at for second, third, fourth?
yeah. I thought that was,
But that's an interagency thing
Yeah.
so far. We can, when we meet with the law enforcement chiefs at our quarterly meeting and give some feedback, I think that's gonna be one of our points.
right.
That
Seemed helpful.
was very helpful.
I'll make a note of that, so.
And, are we still in old business?
Yep.
Would you like some help with the draft on the rules and procedures? Or
I'll
you
take a
just-
whack at it and send it to you and
Okay.
see if we can advance it that way.
All right.
I've just been tied up with other stuff.
I think one of the important things in that draft is gonna be about the scheduling we talked about.
Says, well, we know we've got two cases to finish up. And we have not gotten anything back from the chief, correct?
Not that I haven't gotten
Okay,
anything back.
okay. It was at case number 2. We just haven't gotten a response back from. New business.
Is it my imagination, or have there been a couple, I don't want to call it recurring, because we're only on our fourth case, but a couple instances where one of the charges against the officer was failing to identify himself and his badge number on the camera? I think that's something we should probably suggest to the police, that they make sure their officers comply with that. It seems to be the only sustainable charge in the current one, but
And without getting into the merits of the case, I
Yeah.
think that the sheriff's position was certainly tenable to me. That if you have a badge on with a number on it.
I agree with that. I absolutely agree that it's
You know,
over the top, but it still seems to be a violation of policy.
Well, it goes to a similar, you could compare it to profanity and that sort of thing as well, but yeah, they do need to make sure that if it's in their policy, the officers or the deputies are doing what's in their policy. If they're not, and they're lackadaisical about it, then that might be negative.
Yeah,
for
could
them.
give rise to a charge, which they don't really need. But you know, I agree with you that the officers at the side of the car, his name, badge number are there.
But they are required to let them know, being recorded and, yeah. So since you brought that up again, I think it might be helpful if we put out a written correspondence to each of the leaders of the agencies, letting them give us some topics they would like on the agenda for the quarterly meeting from us, things, what they would like to hear or discuss. I know I'm gonna work on some bullet points that we have talked about, but there may be questions that they have for us that we can prepare for.
Yeah, I mean,
We get written communication to them,
yes.
asking
So I
them.
know Frank has talked to, I know both the Sheriff Hickman and Chief Dixon about when they come, because Frank usually will ask me too, what are some ideas? And I know he reaches out to them, and they usually reply with nothing. Last meeting, I kind of told them, I gave everybody the heads up about the police outreach, and I kind of felt like one of them was well prepared because he knew that was coming up.
Yeah, with the amount of time that we have, these meetings are short, and that's, we keep it concise. If we can give them a heads up, and maybe we should get our bullet list, I can take that just to email it to everyone, like the topics that I think we should cover in the quarterly meeting, just, with the law enforcement agencies. And we can add to it, and that way we can kind of give a draft agenda, and they can feed off of that. That'd be okay?
Yeah, it sounds good to me.
All right, I'll take that.
And you're not talking so much, so like, we have to do that in-year report, and I know one of the things that the board has to come up with, the PAB, they have to review these cases. And I don't mean the way we review them, but look at them and look for trends, policy issues, violations, things that we normally discuss. And this was going to come up, and we're under new business. That I was going to bring up a little bit later about one of the meetings, probably in October's meeting, I'm going to need all of us at the PAB meeting to discuss with them these issues, right? And because I'm sure they're going to have a lot of questions. Because we're going to have to keep it in an open meeting and just discuss the facts, what it was, what was found, what wasn't found, and see what we think are issues, like what you're bringing up a policy, right? If it's in their SOPs, you must give your name. Those are things we need to discuss with them, because it's kind of like their function, because it goes towards the in-year report that we send out to the police chiefs and the sheriffs. Is that, I mean,
I understand.
yeah, but I mean, is that not what you were saying, or it is?
No, my initial thought on that is even if they just look at other annual reports that have come out from other counties, how they put the categories of what their trends are and what they're tracking, it might be best for them to start, with a template that looks like that, because we are not going to get into the weeds with them at all.
Right, I agree.
We're just
Yeah.
not. So it would almost be better for them to have the categories drafted, whether it's, a minor policy violation, or I don't know how they want to categorize them, for this county, but I know there's, a lot out there. So I just don't want the expectations to be that we're going to have a very detailed discussion about it, because we're
Right.
not. It needs to be high level and building off of what the first annual report was for consistency in our county, and, just,
Yeah.
and in the same way, I don't know how the tracking of that is going to come about, but it might be best that as we are seeing our cases, we categorize, our findings too. So if there's, for example, I don't know, I'm a spreadsheet girl, so if there's a spreadsheet and you have all the categories, and for each of the cases, you're tracking whatever these metrics are, then we can say this is, this goes in this category, this category, this category. So we got it from the beginning. We can start tracking that.
Yep.
I can do a draft of what that, let me add that to a draft of just what I'm envisioning for tracking. But we would feed the information to them, and then the PAB has to be the owner of that information. But if we're, if they have any questions on, well, why did you categorize it in this category versus something else, we can help explain in that regard. But
Right, and that's what I'm looking for.
is there anything that they have for tracking right now? Okay.
That I'm aware of.
I
Is
need
there
to
anything?
spreadsheet.
You read my mind.
And is that open for all PAB and ACC members to see, or?
Right now, it's just on my,
So
I don't see why we couldn't share it.
I would suggest, right, it's because it's not gonna have identifying information in there. And
no, Frank and I are under discussion on that. We're gonna
Okay.
get together and decide everything that he wants documented in that spreadsheet. But I do agree it should not be officer-specific. However, a lot of counties are doing that in their spreadsheets. Now, that's, again, they're not sharing that spreadsheet, so.
well, internally, at your level, I don't know that there's a problem with that. I mean, you could put it in a column, the last name and ID, and you can hide it for things, but I
don't think it's even necessary for internal use, honestly.
I think something like the, race, gender, all that, I've seen that in other counties' reports. And, that's something the PAB will have to discuss too. Do we want it in our reports? And I haven't looked at the law on this, so I don't know what's required to be reported annually.
Oh, well, we have the information that, Mr. Landon, the in-year report, is there, I thought I read somewhere we have required things that we cover in the in-year report.
Yeah, they're required things, but,
Trends,
yeah.
number of
Granted,
complaints.
There doesn't have to be any demographical or PII information, and there probably shouldn't be. And what you're saying corresponds to that. You can have a roster, you can make it public, there's not enough identifiable. You can stop at the department.
Right.
You don't give rank, you don't give position, you don't give gender, you don't give.
Yeah, I think if you look typically like an FBI report or trends, they just say, well, the robberies, assaults, they don't get any more specific than the number, actually. So, which would satisfy the trending aspect of it at least, but I agree, I don't think you need personal information.
But I think that could be a good,
But internally, maybe.
yeah, I mean, it's internally, yeah, but that could be a good thing to have this accountability board decide what should be reported.
Yeah.
Unless there is a demographic
Well,
trend with,
The departments obviously have that information, as in one of our cases where there was claims of, consistent harassment and stops, the department in its report said, here's the actual number that occurred, so they have that information.
I think ultimately, there just needs to be some work on that, and the PAB will have to decide.
Shelley, the easiest way to think of that, I apologize for being behind you, is the PAB and the ACC are not custodians of record or anything other than your very own deliberations. So anybody that was wanting information regarding any of that type stuff needs to go to the departments. That's not your job or our job to tabulate and keep it and then maintain those records.
Okay. Anything else on that topic?
Nothing.
Would someone, let's discuss, we were talking about having a monthly review, pick a date. Would anybody like to make a motion that we,
I would like to make a motion that we have our monthly deliberation or review.
Case
of any
review.
Case review, on the same day that we have our monthly ACC meeting, if possible, following the meeting.
I'll second that.
all those in favor?
Aye. So
Motion
August
passed.
7th?
I have a quick question about that. So even regardless, hypothetically, if there's 4 cases, you want to review all of those cases in one night?
There might be a time we might have to push something back or forward.
Okay,
We discussed this before, timing is everything.
right?
I think as this goes forward, we might have to reach out to the sheriff and the 2 chiefs and say, if you have something, you need to get it to us by this date, so we can review it by this date, if that makes sense.
Which might look like 3 business days prior to the meeting.
And then we can always carry over if we need to,
Yeah.
like we did before.
Right?
You okay on the wording for the motion and all that? Okay. Took care of that. It says here, if you have any suggestions or discussion that you want brought up with law enforcement leaders at the next quarterly meeting in September, which I think we might actually have some.
And I'll get that draft, list of possible agenda items to you all.
Anything else under new business? I don't see it. Open discussion? Anybody have anything for open discussion?
I have not.
Not for me.
Just around the record keeping, and if there, I know we mentioned this before with the spreadsheet, that sort of thing, but as we grow through this, I think that it would be helpful for us to be able to see somewhere on the shared drive, just, a spreadsheet that's got the basic information, like, case number 24-001 was on this date, we made the decision on, just, basic running total of things.
When Frank and I finalize what he wants to see in that spreadsheet, then I will make sure that it gets posted.
Okay.
And because we talked about it last week, but I know I would like to see date received, date we reviewed it, date received by the sheriff or whoever.
That's already,
And-
all that's already in there.
And, yeah, and then the date, the final letter from him, so we know that it's kind of buttoned up, right? Because to me, it's not closed until we get that back from them on what they're going to do with it.
Yeah, all that's pretty much in my spreadsheet.
Yeah.
It may not be worded exactly, but I even have the 30-day count, because we have 30 days out from when you officially receive a case, so I even fill that date in, and I only count business days. So if we have 30 days, I count out 30 business days as to when we're obligated to the date.
Yep.
All that's in the spreadsheet.
Perfect.
Where I kind of put the hold on things was, the personal information type things.
Right.
I received an email today from the state, October 28th. Is it date for the next class?
Yes.
The real training.
As long as they have it, they said they might, depending on, my knee gets replaced on the 18th, so on the 28th, I should have plenty of time on my hands. What's that?
Does that work for you then?
Yeah, I'm gonna be sitting down a lot, but yeah, I will be there. I will be there. So,
They'll make you work that knee.
what's that?
They'll make you work that knee.
It would. All righty. Anything else for good of the order? Open discussion?
I have nothing.
Okay, our next meeting is scheduled for August the 7th.
No, that's, I was gonna have a question. That's here?
Yes, we will meet here.
Okay, are we gonna be, is PAB gonna meet earlier or no?
Yes,
Okay, so what time is that?
3:30.
Okay, just wanna make sure I have it right.
And then if everything works according to plan, if we have a matter to look at, we'll do it that afternoon.
Yes, correct. Yep. Kind of like what's going to happen today.
I just gotta ask the stupid questions, Barry.
Yeah, no, I get it. I was worried that we were all going to meet down there today and not up here.
I don't have anything else.
Nothing?
Okay.
We good?
To adjourn?
Yeah. Second?
Aye?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned at 15:52.
Barry, can I speak to you for a moment?
Yes, sir.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean Barry.
Pete.
Pete,
Just the official sign-in sheet.
Yeah.
you have a moment?
Mike's.